Chicks Export Limited, Toronto, Canada. Shipping barrels and other cargo to Grenada in 3 weeks, including custom clearing and home delivery to anywhere in Grenada. They source, purchase, and ship new and used anything. Call or WhatsApp Eric, aka Greens, on 416-569-9755. That's 416-569-9755. Check us out on Facebook at Green Chicks Export or email us at greenchicksexport@gmail.com.
Right along. Welcome to the ride. Welcome to the ride. Huh. I got some news for you before we start. Before we say anything, I got some news for you guys. Yeah. Pretty interesting news, by the way. As you guys come in, go ahead and share up the thing, because today we're going to have a conversation. Kind of a different conversation that we intended to have on this Wednesday evening. Nevertheless, we're going to have a conversation. Good evening to you, Jade. Good evening to you, Faye. Faye, how you doing? Margaret, Richard Duncan, good evening to you. How you doing? Everybody, everywhere. Share the thing, because we're gonna have a conversation, guys. We're gonna have a conversation. Lord have His mercy. It's one of those days. Hey to you. Hello, Jennifer. Jennifer Myers, I ain't seen in a long time. It's one of those days, to tell you the truth, that I dread being on television. Whether you're watching me on television or the internet or wherever, I dread being in this situation here the most. Because I like to, I like to deliver on whatever I put out there, right? So if I put something out there, you could take it to the bank. As far as I'm concerned, it's on. So right before programming time, shortly before we went on air, about at least half an hour to 45 minutes before we went on air, I was left scrambling to find a new guest, because our advertised guest, who was supposed to be here today, which was supposed to be Mr. Andy Williams, he had to reschedule the scheduled interview. All right. His team made it aware to us that that's in the best interest of the candidate, and that they will have to reschedule the interview. Of course, we're disappointed, because as a young man that I wanted to engage in various topics, including entrepreneurship. He's an entrepreneur, and Williams is an entrepreneur that, and I think that his knowledge would have been a good source of information to our viewers, hence the reason why we invited him here. But again, right before programming time, guys, I tell you, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 35 minutes tops, we were made aware that he would not be able to come on the program. So nevertheless, as I said, it kind of left me trying to figure out, should I put a rerun on? Should we just not come on today? But I felt like I had to come on and just explain to you guys that what the problem is or was. Hence the reason why our schedule got thrown off a bit. Nevertheless, I know that you guys understand that whenever we advertise a guest, you could take it to the bank. All right. But Here's what we're going to talk about today, guys. Today's program still very important. Still a very important one because we are in the midst of what is deemed as a historic election. And what we've seen over the past weeks and months was a lot of content, so much things that have been going back and forth from candidates to, it's just a lot of things going about the place, right? Now, backtrack a little bit. For the entire 5 years or so, 4 years in office, we have a government without an opposition, which put media personalities as almost acting as opposition voices because we had to get information, disseminate information, and get it out to the public. So the topic that I want to touch on today, which is again very, very important, is the role media plays in election, right? Because we have to be very, 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 decisive. We have to gather information. We have to, the public like yourself, you guys are looking forward to the information that we're bringing out to you. We do a background investigation and bring it out to you. So the topic that I want to touch on today is the role that media play in election. And we were able to pull my good friend, the very reliable friend, Samson, I apologize, my friend. I apologize. It was, I had to call you.
I definitely be sending the bill.
Send the bill. The show have to go on, Samson. The show must go on.
As exhausted and tired as I am, I could not leave you hanging, so I had to.
I appreciate that. So again, guys, this is what happened. This happens in media sometimes. I just hate to be the bearer of bad news because I know a lot of people were looking forward to hear Andy on the program, as any candidate. And we do have an open door policy. Same time we call Andy, I call Cox. We didn't hear back from Cox as yet, but we have an open door policy, and we invite in Cox, and we invite in all the other candidates, Nimrod, NNP candidate, NDC candidate, independent candidates, whoever wants to come on the program. We would love to have you guys on here. Let's talk about your platform. Let's talk about your agenda. Let us have this discussion. So let me throw this out at you, Samson. We've seen what's happening over the past year, over the past silly season, months or so. From your vantage point perspective, what role do you think that media have in election?
Well, the media is one of the most critical machinery in any election campaign or cycle. The importance of the media cannot be overshadowed, neither can it be questioned. I think where the question actually lies is how strong your media is in terms of being unbiased and being ethical and bearing the morals and standards of media. Let me say off the bat that I don't think that I am the best person to speak on that. I don't think I have the fair amount of years.
Right.
However, I do believe that I was trained by the best and sat on some very good leadership in terms of media. But I do believe that the media is very critical. I mean, in terms of any aspect of information sharing,
right,
strong and cohesive media is critical. In this, I think we've seen the evidence of this more in this election cycle, opposed to other election cycle where anything is said on the platform and not questioned. We have our social media,
right,
our social media journalists, who debunking everything that is being said on either platforms, either of the main platforms, as well as you see the stories on the main media, the traditional media, as we call it, and not the new media, which is social. There are strengths, there are questions in terms of what is being presented and how it is being presented, the narrative behind it, what the expectations are when these stories are published. But all in all, I love what I see in terms of what's happening in media right now in Grenada.
Yeah. I want to open up the conversation as well, right? Because what we see a lot of, and this is where you guys play an integral role in this. Oftentimes we would post a story or would look on a certain platform, and people are always ready to demonize a specific platform because the platform might be, let's say, paid to run a specific advertisement or run a political campaign or rally or whatever, and that platform is deemed biased. So a lot of times I don't think that the public quite understand how this thing work. Media presence is there to push messages out there. Campaigns, businesses, events, what have you, pay money to
Right.
place their ads on platforms. So essentially, that's how media and media platforms sustain themselves,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, I mean, let's look at it from this vantage point. I mean, about 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, it's so much. Um, when Mikey Hutchinson became Mikey, as in Mikey Live that we're seeing today, I remember in the very early stage of him coming out as strong as he is today. um, you would hear by the wayside there was an accident at some point in Grenada, and you would question it until you see it on Mikey page, and
Well,
that's where.
media in general. I mean,
Well,
Mikey.
yeah, I'm using Mikey specifically to bring home the point. You will question it until you see it on this page, or you wouldn't believe the gossip until it actually become or you see it on any other media house at all. So that is the role of the media. You know,
Right.
I know for a fact that um, I see some media, social media, new media as we call them, carrying the different political events on either side of the either stages, and people would say, oh, because a particular media house carries a story or carries a political rally, that media is for whichever political party. But in all fairness, we have to understand that to run a media platform, new or traditional, it takes quite a bit of money.
Right.
And if you are going to do it and going to do it properly, you must be able to sustain it. And to sustain it means that you must have financial inputs. Um, the thing about it is, or the question is, uh, you know, if is which media house comes to you first? I mean, at the end of the day, if NDC approaches you or NMP approach you, whichever comes to you first is who you would go with, because we have to understand that media people are some of the very lowest paid people there. And that has been a debate for quite some time. Even when I was in active media, that was a debate in Grenada. That was a debate, and even when I left and subsequently moved, it still remained a debate. And even when I moved where I am now, it still is a debate. So it's not just a localized debate in terms of Grenada. It's a regional thing. I mean, internationally, you specialize and you can make quite a hefty bid from it. But going back to the point, the role of the media, especially in this election cycle, is very critical. And I think it is time for our media to wake up and realize how critical their role is. But at the same time, a lot of our media houses, especially in Grenada, have been crippled by different lawsuits. They say something and somebody don't like it. Some politician feel where they shouldn't say that. Not that it is false, but because it expose a truth. they decide, okay, well, you're libeling me, you're scandalizing my name, and therefore they come after the media, um, and sue them. I mean, we have situations that where media
What
houses.
do you see? That is another thing. A lot of local media are afraid, and that's from my perspective, from my point of view. I think a lot
That's
of
the point I'm
they,
getting
they
to.
are intimidated
Yeah,
by breaking stories because we don't see investigative reporting. We don't see a lot of investigative reporting, and a lot of the media, even some of which you suggested, it's like press release media. It's like you're reading a press release. What about investigative reporting? What about going into the nitty gritty? I've seen media's outside, like Kellen Bob, who does a remarkable, amazing job on a weekly basis.
right.
He's in a different position than local media because he cannot be intimidated. He's
And
not
and that
intimidated, and he does
that's
breaking news and,
and
and
that's
bring critical stories.
and that's what a lot of people have come to realize. The fact that you're not dependent on Grenada for a daily bread, you are
Right.
able to be critical and be able to do the hard hitting stories that the local media are afraid to do. And we see it. I mean, a few months ago, as recent as last year, I believe, one media house was threatened to be sued because they brought a story, and the story was not in favor of a certain politician.
Right.
And after that, you see a little bit of timidness in terms of the stories they bring, even around that specific politician or that specific politician's party.
Right.
And and I'm saying that um, it is time, it is critical more than ever that our government, I don't know how feasible that is because they are the ones who lose the most, but it's time for the government to enact legislation that give full freedom of expression and that
Right.
the journalists
But
because
independence is important. Independent. I want some of the viewers to chime in because I saw Sayo wrote something. He said, "Junior, stop insulting media personnel. You well know that Grenada doesn't have any media personnel." I mean, Calista Farrier, I wanted to get on the program here. Calista Farrier, she's very tough. I admire her. Her skills in media. I think she does well. But what we see a lot of the times
but she
is
has paid the price. She
she
has
has paid the
paid
price, so you
the
have to
price.
be prepared. You have to be prepared, rightfully so. You have to be prepared to speak because it's almost like they are the ones, or the most amount of advertising revenue that you would get is from the public sector, which is government. You cannot bad talk the people who put food in your mouth. So sometimes you have to subdue the stories. Sometimes you have to not run a story because your boss might be someone who is in the hierarchy of a political organization, and then so you don't have independent media, you don't have independent voices, stories don't get broken.
Even when you work and this is and I sat and I watched this years ago, and Junior, I think this is the first time I actually say this publicly. It broke my heart because one of the strongest independent media houses that we had in Grenada was shut down. Essentially, the company, I believe, was sold, and a part of the whole process, and that's Committee Channel 6. When you look at the stories that Committee Channel 6 did over the years, um, and you look at the angle in which it took the stories from, you know, a lot of the government, well, not the government, but a lot of the other media houses, let's put it that way, could not bring the stories that way because either they were censored or they were threatened to be sued. And, I mean, it's not easy being a journalist. It's a tough job.
Right.
You have to ask the tough questions. But at the same time, it's so easy to step on toes. It is so easy to have persons be up in quote unquote their feelings over something that you would have, a story you would have brought. I mean, where I am, I had one of the highest offices in the land, and her entire family upset with me over a story that I brought. But at the end of
Right.
the day,
Right.
we have to understand that that is a job. That is a
Yeah.
job. That's part of the process. That's part of what needs to be done, right? And as I often say, and I've said this in the past, and I'll say it again. I say it again. I long for the day when Grenada had independent and free journalism. But the challenge with that is that a lot of the young people coming into the profession, right, is looking for training and looking for training from the senior journalists. And a lot of these senior journalists already have their political affiliations.
Right.
And they're not training you based on grounds of neutrality. They're doing so based on what they know, based
Right.
on how their mode of operandus, how they operate. And when they do that, what you find happen is that these young people get grafted into the culture. And so it begins to become a cycle. A cycle that, we soon will not be able to break very easily. Right? I mean, there's a popular television station in Grenada. I remember looking at this chap when I was aspiring to be a journalist before I had my debut, and this particular chap is aligned to a particular political party.
Right.
Yeah. And those are the challenges, of media, because you feel I need to be associated with a political party if I am to get ahead. If I am to make any,
and that's sad, That's sad. That is absolutely freaking sad.
Yeah, that's a sad reality. That is a sad reality. You understand? I mean, and forgive me, but I have to say this. I was trained by some of the best. I mean, you're talking about Sherry and Noel. You're talking about Beverly St. Clair. I sat under these people and watched them and learned the Blossom Alexis Welch. I mean, and I got to say that I received the best training possible. It's unfortunate I didn't continue journalism in Grenada, because my good friend and cousin did not allow me an opportunity to work, in let's leave that there. But I was able to take some of those skills and carry further afield.
Right.
And when I remember when I did my first interview where I am, everybody looked at me like, where do you come from? With that kind of look, like,
right.
Because I didn't go in there to be easy. I went in there because I knew the angle, set that in my head, this is my angle. I knew what I wanted to get. I knew the information I want. I knew that they knew the information that I wanted to get out of them. So I knew how to phrase my questions in order to do that. But Junior, is this the training that every single young journalist receives?
Right. Well, I often say this, and I'm going to say it again. I don't consider myself a journalist at all. I have never been trained as a journalist. Everything that I am doing, everything that I have built in terms of media has always been from just how I feel it should look. Not what I didn't go into a studio and see, okay, this is how I want my studio. I just built it how I saw it in my head. I constructed this program, not how I saw another program constructed, but how I saw it in my head. And I often say this, that I don't care for any political sponsored ads or any other kind of advertising, because what it tends to do is it tends to steer you from talking about what you want to talk about, because they're the one that paying you. So
right.
This platform is set up in a way, and you don't see that a lot, where the voices and the people who keep this program or sustain this platform are the viewers and Facebook monetization, and that's what sustained the platform. So if advertisers near and far decide not to even pay a dime, we could still sustain ourselves, right? But how many other platforms that have that type of backing to say, you know what, I could say whatever I want. If Tom Jones or whatever the case might be is involved in some kind of situation and Tom Jones is associated with my boss, I could still talk about Tom Jones and don't care, because Tom Jones is not paying me. Tom Jones lineage doesn't pay me, but you don't find that independent type of monetization or stability. So those media houses basically have to essentially sing for the supper.
Yeah, and I think that happens in especially in our small developing states where um, you have a limited private sector and a very limited public sector as well. Um, and even in the private sector, probably even more in the private sector, you have persons who are aligned and affiliated with whichever or whatever political organization. As a matter of fact, a lot of I mean, I was having a discussion. Let me phrase it this way. Let me phrase it this way. I was having a discussion with a colleague in one of the Caribbean islands, and she was saying to me that what she has come to learn about in her neck of the woods is that a lot of the private sector people, um, if a particular company is affiliated with a political party, they're not going to go outside of their knowables. That's the word she used. Of the people they know to be aligned to the political party, the higher CEO.
Right. Right.
Because they feel if they give the opportunity to one of their own, they would continue to push the agenda. Because guess what? In 4 or 5 years, they're coming back to you for campaign funds. And if you are not aligned to that political organization and you control the realm of the organization, then you are not going to support their political agenda. And
Right.
so they need to keep, anyway, you're not talking about 10 years, 20 years, you're talking about something like 40, 50, 60 years tradition. I mean, in Grenada, I don't think we have a political party that is older than 50 years, just about. But you talk about places, other islands that have parties as old as 80 years.
Right.
And that tradition has continued on and on forever long the survival of the organization is, right? But what is critical? What is critical? It's for the viewers. You see, where the lack of media sensitization is, or where media are free to broadcast stories that is in the interest of the public and not not in the interest of those who fund them. What is needed is for critical thinkers,
Right.
and you find that you don't have much of that in retrospect. You don't have people who see beyond party lines,
Right.
see beyond the color of the political party or the symbol of the political party. And while that is very sad, it is not just a problem anonymous to Grenada. As a matter of fact, politics in Grenada is very trivial compared to politics in the rest of the Caribbean. In Trinidad and Tobago, it is so, risky to walk in certain neighborhoods during the election campaign. There's not.
Yeah.
And you may say, oh, Trinidad big. Let's talk about St. Kitts. Look at what is happening in St. Kitts at this very moment. It is this tribal. In Jamaica. Oh my, let's talk about
No,
Dominica.
Jamaica got better. Jamaica election got better. It got better from what it was.
Right? I mean, look at what happened in the last election in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yeah.
Right up the road from us in Grenada. We are very trivial. We don't have the level of, we don't have violence to the extent, I mean, I put long one post for NDC, put long one post for NNP, that kind of thing. And while we appreciate that, we want that to remain,
Right.
have to be critical thinkers. Beyond the color, beyond the symbol, you have to begin to examine that which is coming out as policy from the platform, and look at it and line that up with your own vision for your life, for your children's life. Because I do not care how much education you have. Every parent has a vision for their child. Every parent, across the board. But you don't see that happening. And here is where media is important.
Yeah.
And I praise all the media houses who have the different programs. I understand that two other significant, just so we have two major political parties. We have two major media houses in Grenada. And I see both of them. I have been approached by one. I see that they are doing programs. Beyond that, right? I do believe that the time has come for us, for the media, to begin to ask the general public, John public, how do you feel about X or Y?
Right,
How do you
right,
feel about X policy compared to Y policy? How do
right.
you feel about X policy and Y policy? How do you feel about what they're presenting to you? Do you think it's feasible? Do you think that this is something that you want to see happen?
Right.
Right? Then we will begin to change the narrative. Then
Yeah.
we begin to change the conversation. Because at present, the conversation is green give me a house, so me voting green. Right? Not understanding that if green is the government of the day, let me change that. If yellow is the government of the day, that yellow is obligated to ensure that its citizenship, its citizenry is taken care of.
Right.
It's not a political benefit. It is your right as a citizen of the country to get X, Y, and Z from whichever government is in the office or who holds the realms of government. Therefore, in order for us to begin to enhance the conversation, the media is who had to do it.
Yeah.
It cannot be done. You cannot expect that from the church, because the moment that the church say politics, stones start to pelt.
Yeah.
Stone starts to pelt, and I'm not talking about physical stones. The moment time the church says politics, stones begin to be thrown. Right? You cannot expect this from civil society, because civil society, in and of itself, even if it comes out and it sounds to be like, okay, they call Mitchell says pension we pay, and so the civil society come and say, yeah, we want pension to be paid. It looks as if they're taking the contract.
Right.
That shuts them down. Let's be realistic. If the trade union does it, then the quickest competition in the trade union is for the government or for the opposition.
Yeah. You cannot have an opinion. You cannot have an opinion.
And that's the thing. Journalists cannot have an opinion. Journalists in the profession
Yeah.
that is performing the duty, that is in the role, cannot have an opinion. Therefore, they are the right ones to have the open and free conversation.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about it. Let me pose a question to our viewers, right, guys? This is a conversation that we never had before. And I want you guys to answer this. What would you like from your media platform? What more would you like to see from your media platform? What more would you like to see from other media platforms? Because at the end of the day, I see it like this. You, the viewers, the people who participate, the people who come out and share, and the people who listen to us, you are my boss. You are our boss. Because if none of all you show up, me and Samson gonna be just speaking to an empty room. We don't have nobody chatting with. It just gonna be make no damn sense.
Exactly.
So you guys are our boss. So I want to know what you guys want from us, right? And what are we doing that you don't like? And what are we doing a little of that you would like to see more of? So we're going to give you an opportunity to chime in, because it's an important conversation that media houses don't have. What do you want from us? What do you want from me? What do you want to see from media houses? Because a lot of them are watching. I know this is the impromptu conversation, but still the message will get across. So open up the phone line right now. Call us up on the WhatsApp, or you could call us up on the phone lines. The number 718-701-5720. What would you want from your media house? Let me make sure that the phone lines are ready.
And that's a very good conversation to have with your viewers. You've been on for quite a period of time. You ask them to rate the content that you've been providing. How do they feel? Because this is sometimes, and thank God I have both pastoral training. Do not call me pastor. I'm not. I have pastoral training and I have media training.
Right.
And so one of the things sometimes I've recognized is that we often do things and think that we're doing it in the best interest of the people who maybe in our families or maybe in the church, and not understand that we're so far from it. We're so far. And so
okay, so Roderick Thomas says that he would like neutrality, right? Neutrality.
But then how do you judge neutrality?
Yes.
How do
so the neutrality is in the eyes of the beholder.
That's the point.
Yes.
That's the point.
Yes. Neutrality is the eyes of the beholder, because you might bring out a story and you might think that is it's in favor of the other person, but it's just the story. We are reporting the story. It has nothing to do with a side or anything. But I get you. Your media should be neutral. Your presentation, the presentation of information should be neutral.
In order to have neutrality, you first must change the scope of the conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in order to change the scope of the conversation, you have to go to where the conversation is. And the conversation is among the people. I know it's an expensive gesture, but we have platforms. I want to see the Monday night program that's held on A of the two popular television station. Open up the phone line and say, come on, tell us. What do you think about our newscast? What do you think about our program lineup? What do you think about? I mean, those are the conversations. You may get a vast sets of different opinions, but what I believe can happen is that you can take those vast different opinions and dissect it.
Yes.
And take out what's positive about it and use that to build upon so that you will be relevant. Because at the same time, you want to be neutral, but you also want to be relevant. You also want to make sure that your listenership remains the same.
Yeah.
Because what you find happen that the tribalism gets so bad that people begin to take sides. When I listen to A because A broadcasting more NDC stories and B, I am NNP and B carry more NNP stories are gone over by B.
Yeah.
Even if they don't like the content B have, but because they feel B is carrying more, NNP stories are gone over there.
Yeah.
We need to change the scope of the conversation.
So let me just say from the top here that Right Along Live is sponsored by Green's Chick. They are a shipping to the Caribbean for all your personal effects. You give them a call. Right now they're based in Canada. You could call Eric at 416-569-9755. Check them out. The phone number again is 416-569-9755. If you're shipping to the Caribbean from Canada, give them a call right now and tell them you got this information from Right Along Live. Again, Right Along Live is brought to you by Green Chick. All right, Export and Import Limited. So we open up the phone line. I'm keeping the phone lines open right now, and we're watching the chat as well. People are saying the media should be fair and balanced. I want to see the media report the news and not be the news. That's important. That's important because you know when I think someone do a really good job on an interview, when at the end of the day everybody is talking about what the guest said about the interview rather than what the host said or what the host did. You should be in a position as a host, as a presenter. You don't have to make the news. You don't have to be the news. You just have to tell the news. Now, there's a difference between being a newscaster or a news presenter, a journalist, which I'm not, by the way, and a vlogger. There's a line between a vlogger and a newscaster. And I do it here again. Again, I am not formally training any one of these things. But if I'm bringing across the news, which I do on the program here, I bring across the news, I sit right here, I position myself, and I tell the news as it is. If I'm doing a vlog, my whole mood change. I would bring the mic and I would talk, I would conversate. You know, it would be a conversation, but it's based on my opinion. So they are different with news presentation and opinions.
I think what has happened, Junior, is that there has been a revolution in terms of media at some point in the last decade. But has that been accepted by traditional media? No. And the reason for that is because traditional media is threatened by new media. Because if new media becomes emergent, what happens is that traditional media may, or it's assumed, will become irrelevant. Which is not
absolutely.
The truth, which is not the truth.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, what we have to understand, and I want media leadership to listen, is that like in everything, there are different categories of people that will listen. Young people will always go to Facebook. Can't change that. But would you find a 50, 60, 70-year-old person going to Facebook? They will go. They will read. But will they accept that as being the gospel truth? No. What they'll do, they go back to their traditional media. I mean, we as young people can't stand on CNN for the whole day.
Right.
Does it? And I don't know how. You understand? So new media does not make traditional media absolute. It actually it enhances it. Because in traditional media, and I'm seeing more and more of them adapting to it, would realize that there is an opportunity for them. There's opportunity. I know journalists who have capitalized and is living luxury based on new media. We don't see it, we don't hear the testimonies, but it happens, right? Because you're monetized if you use Facebook and you have a certain amount of likes and shares, you're monetized for that. YouTube, the same thing. And so if you build your listenership, you are monetized for it.
Yeah.
But when you look at our traditional media and its leadership, you realize that the age capsule, that is the definer. So new media would never make traditional media absolute. But here's the thing. New media has taken on new leaps and bounds. It's no longer just about you reading the news. We have to elevate to discussing the news. We have to elevate to the point where, and I long to see that, when you have a program where, okay, the trade unions matched yesterday, and persons have burning questions. I mean, when I was a child and I was listening to news, I had questions.
Yeah.
But can I interrupt the news reporter and say, hey, I can.
Yeah. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. And myself and my producer, and I'm going to say this here, I don't think I said it before. It is so difficult. And I see Anthony D. Riggs' post, and it is so difficult sometimes to get a guess. For instance, there was a certain protest yesterday by teachers.
Right.
And we have been trying, let me tell you how much time we have been trying to get a certain person in hierarchy position in that particular union to come on. And we would call because we know it's important. And we would call and they just don't want to engage. They don't want to come on. For whatever reason, they just don't want to be a part of it. So sometimes as media, I can speak for myself. I told my staff, the people who put this program together, Lynn know that very well. If we have a story like we were supposed to have on today with Andy Williams, let's get Cox on too, right? But you would call and you wouldn't get no answer. So does that then kill the idea of just having Andy at all or having anything to do with that? It's very difficult to get people sometimes to talk about the relevant topic of the day. It's not that we don't try. It's not that we don't reach out and try to do it. But you have to understand we're fulfilling a daily programming schedule, and that is as difficult as it gets. Some people do one program a week. This is 5 programs a week, every single day, filling a time slot and bringing information to you. It is difficult. And especially when you have a program and you get the last minute cancellation. It hurts. It's really hurt. It really hurts because it looks at your credibility. People look at your credibility like, oh, well, what is that? You promoted that. That's what I wanted to see. And you know what I mean? So it's difficult to get guests. And I get you, Mr. D. Riggs. And sometimes I call on personalities to come on and they just do not want to come on. They don't want to engage for whatever reason.
And I think one of the factors, I'm not saying that this is the ultimate factor, but it's one of the factors that when they perceived a particular media house, and it is not always that they are against the media house for their political choice, is that they fear if they come onto that media house, they will be liable as being a part of the political media house that the political party or entity that the media house is aligned to, or they assume is aligned to, you know. But in all fairness to you, I haven't seen that particular hierarchy on any of the other programs across the media platform. I mean, in Grenada. So definitely, it doesn't seem like that individual is taking any sort of interview unless it is in front of a picket line.
Right.
But at the same time, I think that people need to understand, and I think we need to. And this is one of, I'll make the statement, and I'll make the statement very candid. That people, please don't judge me, because I know recently I came out as being a part of affiliated with a specific political party, and I did that on purpose, and I will come to that before the end of the show. But one of the things that I feel is critical now, we need to restore confidence in the media. That has been drastically stripped away by the present administration and government. Let us be realistic. How many media houses have been sued by either the leader of the government, the prime minister, or members of his cabinet, husband of one minister? How many? You do the calculations over the years. How many media personnel, journalists, have been either threatened to be sued or were sued? And
Right.
so, when you create that fear in media, and I hope I'm making Beverly St. Clair proud, when you create that fear in media, you tip the scales in your favor, because while it may not be your original intention, but the reality is nobody will come up against you, because they're looking at the two chicken come that they have. They're looking at their mortgage. They're looking at their children's education. They're looking at their vehicle loan that they have to pay and all their expenses. So
Right.
they would toe the line, because they fear that if they come out and bring the hard-hitting stories, that they will be sued.
Yeah.
And as much as I am worried about if I'm going to be sued, and if they're sued, what are they going to do? Who
Yeah.
are they going to go to
Yes.
for legal pro bono
Yeah.
service?
And the funny thing is you say about Sue, because no, finish your thought. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Because media is the lowest paying profession possibly in our country. And I'm not talking about a job, I'm talking profession that you can actually go and study at a university up to the master's or probably doctorate level. It may not be journalism, but it could be communication, which is a critical part of journalism.
Right.
That is the problem. So you essentially tip the scale in your direction, because nobody wants to come up against you. So even if
Right.
they're not broadcasting stories in your favor directly, indirectly it is, because guess what? If I go and I say, okay, the prime minister met with alleged, let me not say that. Let me just say, if the prime minister met with somebody that is perceived to be of questionable reputation,
Right.
will I want to come and broadcast that story?
Unless you have
No.
unless you have the information. You see.
Even if you have concrete information,
Yeah.
traditionally they take you to court.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they-
but you see, here's what I think. I think that the truth would always set you free. We have published a lot of stories here. I've been threatened to sue. I mean, a lot of people threaten to sue me, right? It's like how Monday come every week. It comes. It comes like so what, right? But no one have ever gone as far as taking me to court. And I think that a lot of times people use that as an intimidation, media intimidation, threaten
Right.
them, and
It's
let
a
they,
skill.
and let they get timid. Let they get timid. But I'm proud to say we have never, not once, been taken to court. I said people threaten to sue all the time. There is a story. We have concrete information. We publish the information. People say the information is invalid, but we have concrete proof, because the truth will always set you free. The truth will always set you free, because I know as much as this. I'm no lawyer, but I've been around a lot of lawyers. During the whole court proceeding, there's something called discovery. And in the
Right.
discovery process, we will bring out a lot of stuff. And once I have, and in many, many times, in many stories that we bring out, you might think that we're joking, but we have solid and concrete evidence. And hence the reason why we were able to bring a lot of people to justice, whether for whatever situation, pedophiles and all of this stuff, because we have strong and solid concrete, then the person will call
Right.
and say, oh, well, they're going to sue right along. My answer to that is go ahead and sue. Go right ahead and sue. Go right ahead.
Once you don't become Susu.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean? So what happens is politicians use that as an intimidation to local media.
It is.
And
It is.
local media people, they feel intimidated by that. Oh, you go sue, and then you go what? You go like GBN apologized the other day, right? They apologized. Okay, they apologized. I would not have apologized. That's just me, right? Because I didn't think it was anything to apologize for. But anyway, they did apologize. I just think once you have the solid and concrete evidence, which you do your due diligence, and then before you put out a story, but people would always use the intimidation tactic that they'll sue you because if you drop the story.
Yeah, and that's essentially what they want to do. They want to get you to drop the story or tip the scales in their favor. And when they get you to drop the story, you are going to be very cautious about the stories you bring thereafter, because you do not want to be threatened again, or you fear it may not be a threat this time. It might be actual legal documents penned against you. And that's why I said in the very beginning of the conversation that I my heart grieves for the day that we have something like Community Channel 6 back in Grenada, a strong and independent media that is both traditional and new media, and that can unearth the stories. Look at the amount of things that have been unearthed in this election cycle. And my question is, where is the media that all of these things were happening and nobody broadcast it?
Yeah.
I was scrolling down my Facebook post, my Facebook new feed just this morning as I was preparing to leave the house for work, and I saw a story by Algeria, I believe, about Grenadian passport, Grenadian ambassadors, not Canadians, diplomatic passports, and representing Grenada's interests. Now, I want to know how you're not a Grenadian, but representing my interests as a Grenadian.
Right.
But have I seen this on any other media houses? And mind you, I do peruse their pages. Nope.
Yeah.
But
listen to this, right? Listen to this. I think the next reason why I'm saying that a lot of time politicians use that as intimidation, right? Remember that story that came out from Al Jazeera?
Which one?
When they tied the CBI program, and they said certain politician, they mentioned the documentary mentioned Scary, they mentioned Kit Mitchell, he mentioned a bunch of different people and associate them with the passport.
Yes.
Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is a massive media house, right? How come nobody never threatened to sue Al Jazeera?
because they're not going to win. There's no way they're going to win.
Right, because Al Jazeera, but if it was a local media house that broke that story, the amount of pile of lawsuit that they would have come under.
Oh yeah.
That before the story even say Gwe, probably the program director may not even put it on.
Yeah.
For fear of what the outcome might be. So
look at it. You spoke about prime ministers. Roosevelt's spirit is the youngest prime minister in the Caribbean, and he's also the richest prime minister in the Caribbean, and he has become that way under very questionable circumstances. He has been prime minister for, I think he himself and Gonzalez and Mitchell of Grenada in the running. Gonzalez is the longest continuously serving prime minister in the Caribbean. He's been there since 2001. If it had not been for the election defeat in 2008, Mitchell would have been the longest continuously serving prime minister in the region.
Mm-hmm.
But Mitchell is now in the running to be the prime minister that has served more than 25 years.
Right.
The no other prime minister has done that in the last, whatever, probably. Ralph has already decided that he's no longer contesting elections and that his party, ULP or UPL or whatever,
ULP, yeah.
ULP, may see new leadership, and of course that might be Camelo
Yeah.
in July.
Yeah.
Skerritt doesn't look like he has any intention of stopping anytime soon, and he has youth against him. So, Mitchell doesn't have age. Age is against him, and so he has to stop at some point. You know? But what the point I'm getting is, these fellas have goals. These fellas have legacies.
Yeah.
And so Gonzalez already established as the longest continuous serving prime minister, 21 plus years.
Yeah.
That's I mean he can go to his grave now. I mean the man has his name will be forever inscribed in history.
Right.
Mitchell have behind him is that he has won 15-0 on few occasions.
Right. Yeah.
But guess what? I'm in Barbados done that twice.
Yeah.
So that is not so much of a confetti moment.
Right.
But can a prime minister get to 25 years? That's another thing. I mean,
Yeah.
Spirit probably possibly could do it, but will he? That's the question. And so it's a legacy thing for them. And so anything that threatens that either gets stamped out or move out. And it's as simple as that. And if the media stands in the way of that, stamp out and move out.
Yeah.
But I think what needs to happen is that the media needs to get the trade union attitude. And the trade union attitude now in Grenada is fight back. We're not taking it and lie down. We're not accepting what you say and lie down. Because guess what? Politicians are employed by the people. Media is people. And so the people hire the politician. But where will they get that strength from? That is the question. Where will the media get the strength from? And I'm telling you that they can get that strength from the people.
Yeah. Yeah. But you see, the thing about it is, administration have to understand that a strong media is essential for any country. I think that if you look into a particular country, like say for instance, look at Russia, for instance.
Right.
And the information that is disseminated in Russia is controlled by the state completely. In
Yes.
fact, you can't, in Russia right now, you can't even say a war is happening in Ukraine. You get locked up for that.
Get locked up, yep.
Yeah, you can't even say war. You have to say special operation.
Special operation, yeah.
The media is so, do we want that? Do we want the media to be so muzzled, right, that they can't even tell the goddamn truth of what's happening next door? You see, no government, no matter who it is, could ever say that they're strong if they don't have a strong media. That has to be the backbone. That is the blood. That is the blood that circulates into the vein of the country. A strong, not only a strong, an independent media. Strong and independent media. And any government, no matter where, that strive to muzzle the media could potentially be a corrupt government.
Could potentially be a corrupt government? Potentially be. Because you see, and that's why I'm against the word potential, because guess what? If the government has free fall to do whatever it wants, what do you think will happen? Corruption is going to run rampant.
Yes.
Corruption is going to run rampant.
Yes.
And I mean, I purposely left out the corruption aspect in my most recent analogy and about legacy. But guess what? There is nothing that will stop them from getting their legacy. And I made this subtly when I said that when you look at the last two election cycles, in both Dominica and Saint Vincent. There were mass protests. There were questions about the electoral process. I don't even I'm from my investigation and from what I know. I mean, is there a proper electoral cycle in either of these two countries? There were questions. There were serious questions about the electoral processes. And I'm saying that the media, the fifth estate, cannot give any government the right to run free or to run mock. It
Right.
just cannot happen.
True.
And they need to stand up and fight back. They need to fight back. But it begins by getting a government that is media friendly, a government that is impartial to the media, so that laws can be enacted to protect the fifth estate.
Yeah.
And
That's
it starts
important.
there. Because guess what? Guess what? If laws are not put into place, then we are in more trouble than we even thought, or even we even think.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Guess what? They can carve and twist any law to say, well, you did this, you did that, based on this law. You can get 5 years in prison, or you have to pay a large sum of money, or whatever. The case may be. You understand? Our media houses could be liquidated because they publish a story. And I don't think we have. I mean, kudos to the media cohort in Grenada. I don't think we have reckless journalists in Grenada. I think that they are very professional. They understand their assignment. They understand what is needed of them. But can they do their job fairly and impartially?
No, it's a hindrance. It's a hindrance on them. It's a hindrance on them. Hence the reason why, guys, we are having this conversation, and I think this conversation needs to be continued because we need to hold any elected official foot to the fire.
Definitely.
Not a free. You cannot just issue free pass. And for the past year, I'm telling you, a lot of the media houses have been opposition. They have been like the opposition party, especially in Grenada, that didn't have an opposition.
Right.
And if you don't have that, you have a problem. Because man, by his nature, are greedy. Man, by his nature, you give a person a free rein, they go take. They get away with it, they go try to get away with it all the time. Because they ain't getting no opposition. You need a strong and independent media. Very, very, very important. And the people, the viewers, the community, the population, your government mirrors you. The government that you put in mirrors you. It's based on what you want. That's the people that represent you. So if you go ahead, Samson. I don't want you to lose your train of thought.
No, it's fine. For example, and I was discussing this with the very same colleague from one of my sister OACS countries, that when I purposely think that a lot of manifestos are just a lot of empty words with no meaning. Because guess what? No media is holding them responsible based on the manifesto.
Right.
No. I mean, in every election cycle, they come out with these manifestos. Those are our plans. And they win the election. The announcement is made at 11:02. 11:03, they throw that book somewhere in some garbage or throw it on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you don't see them until 4 years later.
Yeah.
When they come back to the people to beg a vote. If the media house says, okay, Party A, Major Party A, give me a manifesto. Major Party B, give me. No, don't even ask them. You won't get it. And you begin to bring in the export. And I very much hope that this can happen in this election cycle. Bring in the export. Say, listen, y'all say, case in point, Deacon Mitchell says 500 houses every year for 4 years. Let's say, put it. Okay, 500 houses for every year for 4 years in the first instance, because 4 years is the election cycle.
Right.
Bring in Deacon, bring in his shadow minister of housing, whichever. Come and have a conversation. How do you plan to get this done?
Yeah. Well, even now, a lot of the things that has been introduced now, even now, I want to get Deacon on this program very soon, because a lot of things that he's saying, I want to know how is it going to be facilitated, right? I want to know the thought process. I want to understand, where the money is coming from. There's a lot of questions that we need to ask, and no one gets a free pass. No one should get a free pass.
And I think Grenadians, and I want to speak specifically to Grenadians. If any political party is invited to any program, let me not political, any media related program, be it on the two major media houses that we have in Grenada or the major social media houses, and you know who they are, right along Kellenberg, who's doing an extremely good job. I'm very proud to be a PBC boy, and know he's a boy as well. Very proud of that young man. Any political party is invited and does not show up, does not regard you, does not have the respect for you to say, well, let me come and defend my stance or my opinion on housing. When you look at the political rallies, for example, a political rally is supposed to motivate you to vote the party.
Right.
But political rallies in Grenada have become a show talk for and a respond to talk and show back talk situation.
Yeah, that show talk thing.
And
Yeah.
I'm saying, and you know what is upsetting to me? You have people down there, yeah, woo. How that go pay your child school bus Monday morning?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
they giving your child break Monday morning?
Yeah.
And you know what is even more disgusting? And I want to make this point and run from it right after I make it. This thing about voting because I can get Imani work or I get a work. Really?
Yeah.
Can you take Imani to the bank and get a mortgage to buy a vehicle? Because I know there are parents that have 3 children. I have 3 children. And to get around the tree, oh my God. Critical thinking.
Yeah.
But guess where it starts? Because sometimes all it need to be done for us is to push us in the direction to begin to think critically.
Right. True.
The bush and work will give you a $2 now in the moment. But what's going to happen 3 weeks from now? That money not going to last at the end of the week, much less 3 weeks.
True. Another thing I wanna address. I mean, there should be no questions that off the table. I think that there are a lot of questions that need to be asked to the incumbent party, and I'm not sure why a lot of the times when we make that call to have someone, whether it's Dr. Keith Mitchell or someone, come on, let us talk, let us invite them on to talk. They don't come. The last person from the NDC, who are we? Someone that I've had a good conversation with before, the Minister of Education, Emmeline Pear.
NMP.
Yeah, Emmeline Pear, and she, half an hour before the program, same thing. She called and said she can't make it anymore. Very disrespectful, and I never heard from her back after that again. So we want to ask the question to these people, but are they willing to come on, right? The other thing I want to touch on, guys, I know we're going over time already, but it's important to talk about it. Election financing and monies coming into campaigns.
You don't want to get me started then, huh?
And where the hell the money is coming from? And this is a big question mark, a massive question mark.
Junior.
Now we have one campaign, that one campaign who has, they have been donating. They even pay for ads on Ride Along that to ask for funds to assist for assistance. And they've been reaching out for assistance and getting assistance and doing little pubs. We see that they're doing active stuff. But do we know where the money is coming from to fund all these big other things that's happening? Like, it's a lot of money, millions of dollars.
Let me just tell you this, right? In a former life, before I was a husband and father again, and I say it again because I know that there's some very nasty people that are on the program. They like to slander me, but I love it. Don't worry. My background. I used to be a promoter in Grenada. I had a couple of very successful shows in Grenada, and I can tell you that basic stage and lighting could run you into $500,000 very easily,
It's a lot of money.
very easily.
A lot of money.
I'm telling you, light, stage, when you start to talk sound system, a proper sound system, it could run you easily, anywhere from 150 to $300,000.
Yes.
And you see this week after week after week on the political platforms. And the question is, where in heaven the money coming from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Political party printing how many 50,000 t-shirts? Where the money coming from?
Yeah.
I am associated with a printery, flyers, colored flyers, and in a specific tone and color that wouldn't wash away or fade away for the duration of the elect day. And those are papers that get ripped down, tear down, pulled down, and all of a sudden, where the money coming from? Where the money coming from?
That's true.
Bus. A bus
Yeah.
man will charge you $400, and some constituency 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 buses coming from one. Where the money coming from? Guess what, Junior? This is where our media comes in.
Yeah, and ask the question.
Those-
But
those were the-
ask the question, you could borrow the question, you could telegraph the question. Yo, they're not
But
coming
when
on.
you ask the question, Junior, you begin a conversation. You don't ask
Yes.
it at the top. You keep asking it.
Asking
you
it.
begin a conversation.
In fact, my
Then
next vlog I'm going to do, and it's going to hit hundreds of thousands of views because I know people are going to share it. You guys are going to share it. Is going to ask the question and challenge the campaign to show us their books. Where your money coming from? Both sides.
good luck.
Is not. You shouldn't hide on this because who paid the piper call the shots, or something like that. Someone to say it. But the truth
It is
about
true,
it is,
yeah.
if someone is giving you money, if someone is pumping money into your political campaign,
That is where I was going with this.
they want favors. And what is
And
the
you know-
favors?
And you know the prime minister, I don't know, but this prime minister has a very deliberate thing he does, and I want Grenadians to know this. I spend quite a bit of time, and I sit down and I listen to all his speeches, national address and otherwise. This prime minister tells you what he's going to do before he do it. He has a way of doing that, and he said in one of his speeches, I believe it was in Montmartre. Don't quote me on that. He said that there are people who's funding particularly the other political party, NDC's campaign. And guess what? When they get into government, paraphrase, when they get into government, these are the people who will be running the country. And lo and behold, this week, video come out. Video come out. I mean, it didn't come out from the mainstream page or any known surrogate, but it seemed like a fake account. But the thing is, this is what the prime minister does, and I did listen to his most two recent speech. It's in one of them, right? And my question is, because the media are not asking it. Over the years, we have seen NDC, and I'm not. This is not political. This is a fact. We have seen NDC. We see Claudette. I see Claudette in Tongue selling bag juice and sandwich. Right? We've seen them do cake sale. We've seen them do barbecue. Anybody ever see NMP do a cake sale? No, this is a serious question. Have you ever seen them do a barbecue?
No, that is a
Serious
question.
question.
And if the media, I ain't scared to ask the question, and I ain't scared to make the challenge either. Where are you getting the money? Where is the money coming from? Where is the money coming from? Millions of dollars, unlimited
It's a
budgets. Where the money coming from?
Imagine, just on Sunday, boatload came down from Carriacou, chartered boat from Carriacou. Where the money coming from?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, people, this is a fact. So
Yeah.
don't think because Samson allegedly supports a particular political party that he's being biased. No, the thing is, we know, we seen the pictures, we seen the evidence, we seen the flyers, bag, juice, and sandwich sell plenty over the last 4 years. But have you seen Bagus and Sandwich sell from the NNP? I cannot remember. But they are the ones who bring in artists. They are the ones who are having political meetings. I mean, big stage political meetings with. Where's the money coming from?
Yeah.
I mean, this election cycle, it seems like they scale along a little bit.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
Where is the money coming from?
Yeah.
And,
No,
and
that's
they,
legitimate. Legitimate.
they have more social media, and otherwise presence than any other political party. And I keep saying to people, you have to understand that, and let me make this final point before you come in, Junior. Look at it, 15 nil in 2013. You could say that, yeah, because of what would have happened between the NDC term 2028 to 2013. All that happened. We ain't going back there. All that happened. But 2018, when you look at the campaign between the party and the National Democratic Congress, you look at the scale of the NDC have no money to campaign like he and the NNP, Dr.
No. But it's very, very clear and obvious that the NNP have a deeper pocket.
And that's what I'm saying. So
at this point,
the campaign is unbalanced.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
guess what? NDC, this wrong, seems like they're matching their campaign. Are they coming up to the level, when we use that term, of what is traditionally as the NNP?
Samson, don't lose the train of thought right there. We have a call on the line. Caller, you're live. Where are you calling us from?
Junior, calling you from Brooklyn.
Yes, caller. Brooklyn, go right ahead.
Well, I want to know where they not get all their money from when they giving people plane tickets to come and vote. That is what I want to know. Well, allegedly, because I don't want them to sue me.
Okay, Brooklyn. just.
Good night.
Good night. Stay under your bed. They ain't gonna catch you when they're under your bed. That's what your mother used to say. All right.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Asking about if they're giving tickets to come and vote.
Okay, that is a good question.
If all they want to vote, don't take no tickets. Be honest. Be honest, people.
Take the
Good night.
vacation.
Okay, good night. Yeah, that's anonymous. Anonymous calls all the time. But it's a legitimate question. The truth and the fact about it is, it's something that I'm going to push hard on. I mean, I had a challenge where we said we want to push for the debate. We're still pushing for the debate.
It's not going to happen.
It's probably never going to happen. You're right, but we still should push for it. I'm still pushing for it. I think the next push and challenge that we should talk about is where the money coming from. Campaign financing. And hold on. And if you realize, they never have laws.
It doesn't benefit them. It doesn't benefit them.
It doesn't benefit them. So why would they write laws like that? They're not speaking about campaign financing being illegal, and one person cannot give X amount of money to a political campaign, and there's supposed to be some transparency in solicitation of funds. They're not going to write laws on that because it doesn't. It basically goes against them, and that is sad.
Yep. I was going to make a point. In 2017, I think was the very last time we had a CARICOM heads of government meeting in Grenada. That meeting was chaotic in the simplest of terms. Antigua's Prime Minister left the day after the meeting was open and went back to Antigua and said that he had national issues to attend to. A couple of delegates also would have left, and I have this on good grounds. The point I'm making is that when you look at our Prime Minister, and you look at him in comparison to regional leaders, you look at the level of the conversation. You hear Ralph. Ralph is a revolutionist. You know where Ralph stands. You know there's no question. Ralph is a revolutionist. Scary does opening more than a lot of things that jump out in the Gaston Brown, they call him the world boss. The man, he's a fighter for his people, for ingenious. Mia Motley, well, we all know Mia. Mia has gone clear. But you look at our prime minister, has been there for 20 odd years. What is our prime minister sitting on us for? You know, can we go back and get a good speech he gave on the regional level? Can we go back and get a good speech? We have a caller? Can we go back and get...
No, we had a caller. She hung up. Go ahead.
Oh, can we get a good... Because I want the callers to call in because we want to be engaging.
Yeah.
Can we get a good conversation, a good speech that he had on the local? When you look at Parliament, I said a melee national address talking down to people.
It's depressing to look at. We got another call. Let me take that call. Caller, you live? Where are you calling us from?
Good night, Junior. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, there's a bit of sentiments that we hear echoing, right, regarding like the opposition making a statement, right? They want to make certain public sector worker want contract permanent, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, permanent that is a very big statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
From a financial aspect. Okay?
Right.
Now, if you make somebody permanent, the whole scenario changes. Now, contract is contract. I mean, majority of the whole system around the world, everybody is like, majority of it is like you live in New York is more contract workers than union workers now, right?
Right.
Now, if you make somebody permanent, and the money has to come, how you get it? You see, saying the statement and making permanent, but show us the way where you're getting the money from. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Don't make a statement you're making a permanent, but tell us, yes, you're going to make them permanent. But this is what we're going to do to get the money to make the workers permanent. Because after that, it's going to be a whole ball game of rising salary and the whole concept is changing. So it's more taxpayers' money. So tax automatically is going to rise. That is the first thing that comes to mind.
Well, listen. I think our innovative. Let me just stick a pin right in there, right? I think that a creative government, right, could get more revenue without just increasing tax. For instance, hear me out on this one. There is a lot of parking along that Carnage area right there, right? And you might think it's not a lot of revenue, but if you put parking meters along the center of St. George's, where people have to pay for parking, you put your whatever in, you want to sit there for a certain period of time, you put it in there, especially along the Carnage area. Could you imagine the substantial amount of funds that could be raised from that? And that's not increasing taxes. That's just making people's life more convenient.
And you will understand. You live in a bigger nation. I have been to some bigger. It's easy for us, but if we look at our people, like sometimes you make minor changes, and for them to like just accept the changes, you know, it's very hard. And basic changes is like you could do payments of your licenses and all the taxes online. You're still seeing people not like familiarizing. It's just simple something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Junior?
Yeah, getting our people to those kind of concepts. Yeah? Minor things, people here. I mean, you live there. We live here full time. You live in New York. You back and forth.
Where I live full time there? You say I live in New York full time?
When it's full time, that's your home. You're back and forth.
No, I have home. I have home right in Grenada. And oftentimes when you think that I'm here, I'm in Grenada. More time than not. But I get your point, caller. But I think that
you understand what I'm saying? Our people do. You know, if one question they ask, my main question, government comes and government goes.
Yeah.
When are you going to empower your country people? When it's a country, our fellow Grenadians with education.
Right.
Like Morris Bishop used to say, speak the language of the people for the people to understand. Yeah? Everybody's free to do that. And once you empower your people with education, my brother, you're good to go.
Yeah,
That is
I
what is
firmly
lacking
believe
in
so as well.
Grenada.
I firmly believe so.
Yes,
Our
that is what
educated
is lacking
population,
here.
our educated population
Yes,
is an asset.
yeah. Once you see, because I giving you $1 million is a waste of time, but I showing you the way to make the $1 million, you will make millions.
True,
You see the difference in concept, and
true.
that is what I want for people in Grenada.
Yes,
Don't just talk trash. Everybody is doing the same thing because even now, as you see, in the same old talk going around and on, people beating around the bush. Don't come and give me that.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. This is how you make better people because I make certain, you know, statement for people to understand. So this is what you have to do. Don't wait until somebody tell you that. Think for yourself. Try to understand. Don't wait until I tell you to do so. No,
Right.
you have to think for yourself.
Okay, caller. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you so much for calling. All
That is
right.
the best thing for
Yeah,
all of you, my brother. Have a blessed night.
All right.
I'm
Thank you.
itching
Thank
to
you.
respond to
We have
the
a
call.
caller. We have a caller on the WhatsApp. Caller on the WhatsApp. Are you there?
George,
Hey.
what you said was right call, George.
Uh-huh.
Right? There are many ways that the government can make money
Uh-huh.
within Grenada. There's many ways. Now, if you
Yes, my
know
friend.
there's ways that you can make money that
Yeah.
can bring in revenue for the economy, why not do it?
Yeah. And
The parking lot thing is a great idea. That's just one of the ways. There's many ways Grenada can generate money.
Yeah.
So they can lessen down on tax.
yeah, no, I have a few. I have quite a few. I have quite a few
Yes.
ideas.
And the another thing is, George.
Uh-huh.
Now, people financing the government becomes a norm all over the world.
Uh-huh.
But the problem with that is, if it's that not local businessmen is what financing the government, that is where the problem comes in.
Right.
If it is the white man that's financing kids, we have a problem. That means the money is going to generate wherever country the people from.
Right.
It's not going to generate around Grenada within the community.
Right. Right.
Relax, man.
So that is the question. Is not who financing them locally. It's who financing them internationally. That is where the problem starts.
Yes, true. True.
You know, and that caller said America is a bigger state. It has nothing to do with that because the fact that America is a bigger place, it's harder to maintain. Grenada is a little small island. It shouldn't be so hard to maintain. The fact that it's so hard to maintain, these people are not fit for the job. These people have no ideas. They don't have a vision, and that is the problem.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank
George,
you. Thank
have
you.
a good night.
Yeah, right. Thanks.
Yeah, Junior.
There are a few ways, Samson, that I think financing could come into the country other than taxing.
Yeah. I want to respond to the previous caller before
Go ahead. Yeah.
my good friend from Trinidad came on. Now the caller, and I've been hearing this nonsense around Facebook for too long about if you make people permanent, then where the money come from. Nonsense. Listen to me. There are PSs in the government that gets more money, more salary than government ministers themselves. The downfall of Liat, one of the downfall of Liat is that the top head, some of these CEOs and managers and mid managers were getting up to $20,000 and $30,000 a month.
Right.
The problem with the government is that a lot of people, senior management and mid management, are making tremendous amounts of money. But when you look at the lower level, the administration, the administrators, the secretaries, and so on and so forth, those are the jobs that actually change very often because those people go off to study, they find out a job somewhere, or whatever the case may be. Those positions are traditionally filled by Imanis.
Yes.
Look at it. And as a result of that, the government doesn't have to spend, whereas they would have paid an Imani $1,800 a month. They give them $1,000 on the Imani program and save $800 for whatever the reason is. What needs to happen? And I think it's a very workable thing. What needs to happen is that there need to be an overhaul of the system. And the Prime Minister said it in Mon Rouge. You need to change the system. When are we accepting the same old for umpteen years? It is not working. It is
Yeah, we
broken.
need some new some ideas, some additional
broken.
ideas. Let's jump to the call. We got a caller on the WhatsApp. Call on the WhatsApp. Go right ahead.
Hi, Junior. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm calling you from Canada. I was listening to this is quite a while, and
I'm not hearing you too clear. I don't know if you're on a speakerphone. If you're on speakerphone, it's probably affecting how the audio is coming in. It's not really clear.
Yes. Okay. Yes, you hear me better now?
I hear you a little bit better now. Go ahead, yeah.
Yes, I have always been of the opinion that a government should always invest in its greatest asset, which is its people.
Yes.
Because without its people, then who do you govern? And then without these people, who do you come for? Who do you come to for a job? Because at the end of the day, politicians come to the people asking them for a job, and that is the thing that they don't highlight very often when the election campaign is on.
Mm-hmm.
But if we cannot, if the after the election and everything settled down, and then the people cannot be uplifted after you would have gone to them and asked them for a job, and then they give you the job, and then you cannot uplift them, you cannot improve their standard of living, you cannot improve their cost of living. You know, you should be questioned. You should be recalled, basically. Mm-hmm. Called back to the table and say, hey, you promised this and we need this, and you promised this and you have not delivered it.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And I was speaking to a friend today, and I said to them, I said, look at the amount of abandoned houses that are in my local in St. Patrick's. Mm-hmm. It is not because the houses are so terrible to live in, but it's the fact of the matter is when you speak to persons who are in the diaspora, they tell you they can't come and live in Grenada simply because the cost of living in Grenada is extremely too high.
Right.
That is the main reason why they tell you that. The housing crisis in Grenada, it is not because there aren't homes to live in.
Right. Yeah.
But the cost to live in Grenada, it is so. I mean, I looked at St. Vincent. I believe they did a overhaul of the transportation system.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and the cost for transportation in St. Vincent, it only went up from $1 to $2 this time around. Grenada has been up for how long? And then when you really look at it, some of the things that in the transportation system, mm-hmm. when gas price only went up by $1 by 100%, the bus price went up by 150% from $1 to $2.50.
Yeah.
Right.
And whereas it came from $8, gas came from $8 to let's say $15, $16. That's just 100% increase.
Right.
So the bus price went up to 150%. So one of the things that is very crippling to our local people is that there doesn't seem to be a price control system so that we can have a balance between the producer, the importer, and the consumer.
Right.
Because it seems as though everybody's setting their prices to make them comfortable. Look at the latest fiasco in prices that we had in terms of the flour mill. I mean, people are laughing the consumers while they go into the bank. Mm-hmm. Because you are telling me that the cost of feed and flour they have increased by, let's say, 16% as the Caribbean Agro has said, right? It increased by 16%. But then that share of eggs went from $20 to $25 at 25% increase. Mm-hmm. And there doesn't seem to be any control between the producer and his product and the consumer that has to now pay to consume his product.
Yeah.
And I think that this is one of the issues that needs to be addressed on the platform. And that's the reason why I don't go to political rallies, because it has come to, as my friend said, it has come to hype and entertainment. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Yeah.
And I might quickly listen to a town hall meeting, but I don't go to political rallies because I see no essence behind it. Mm-hmm. You know, but what I'm trying to make is that we need to put things in place to uplift the standard and the quality of life of persons in Grenada.
Yeah.
And that is what is lacking.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carl. I appreciate your input on this topic right here. Guys, we have about 8 more minutes left before we wrap up. We got another caller on the phone lines. Let us take that caller right now. Let me see if I could bring them in. They've been waiting for quite a while. Caller on the phone lines, go right ahead.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today, Junior?
Good. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Virginia.
Okay. Virginia. Yeah, Virginia. How you doing, Virginia?
Good, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, Junior, I born in the 70s, and I look at Maurice Bishop as a visionary to me, growing up in the 70s, in the 80s. This man come as a leader and with a vision. He come from nowhere and he implement agri-industry, build the airport. That he vision moving forward. I look at the present administration, and I'm not seeing what is the vision moving forward. All these years, this Mr. In power, he built something sustainable and say, well, he move out of power and he put this in place, like a factory or something on a long term. All what this Mr. is thinking about is tourism. We cannot do tourism. When he and Brizan was on the blaze, right? Brizan used to go wrong with the agriculture. And he used to make sure things was in place that the farmers can sell the produce. This Mr. come in, and he done away with that. So what were we living on is just hand to mouth and input.
Right.
And this is very disturbing for we, the youth, or even, well, I'm no longer, because I'm born in the 70s. But what about the people who live in my children, my grandchildren, and those generations to come?
Mm-hmm.
What is the groundwork for them to build on to move forward?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is my great concern. You all these years and not in a factory. The stadium, yes, we understand that, but this is just for once in a while. You understand? This is an entertainment. What is the long term something for my children, my grandchildren, to move on in life and say, well, this Mr. build this, and my grandchildren work in that factory, and that factory is able to extend itself from one to the next. You understand? So then it's moving on the economy, rolling back into the country, not coming in. And they're putting certain things in place, and then when up like the Chinese or the Indians, where the money going back out. You understand? And it's very disturbing, Junior. And that's why I follow the NMP for a little while, and when I really sit down and put one-on-one together, I follow the NDC too. And I like, you know what? If I'm being independent and come, but that do help in the situation. But I just want to see what is the vision of a leader moving forward.
Right. All right, thank you, caller. We appreciate your input as always. All right, guys, this is where this is where we have to come to put a wrap on this program right here. But to underscore the purpose of this conversation, which we will continue on the topic of the role that media continue to play or need to play, especially in a time like this, election time. We have Kellen Bob, who also was scheduled to be on, but he's under the weather at the moment. And other media houses, we want to have this conversation and continue to have this conversation. And also, we want to be better able to serve you, the viewers. Because listen, we don't want to push things down your throat that you don't like, We want to give you things that you want, that you enjoy. So we want you to connect with us, inbox us. If you see something that you think that we should cover, mind you, we do get a lot of those already, but let's tailor this platform, and every platform should be tailored to the people, to the viewers, because you are the boss at the end of the day. Samson, closing words, and then we can wrap.
Yeah, let me just say first, I committed to a part 2 of this. Much to my wife's annoyance, but I'm committed to a part 2 of this. But let me just say this, right? And I love the calls. Unfortunately, they come in so late, but I love the calls. Let me just say this to Grenada. We have had one nation predominantly run the country for just over 20 years, and I don't want to get political, but let's look at this. Grenada is a tropical island. We send out hundreds of gangs of people ever so often to cut the bush on the side of the road. And while that is good, while that is needed, I'm wondering if we can send out the same amount of gangs to pick the overhanging fruits on the side of the road from the trees using whichever means. And the same trucks we hire to pick up the bushes on the side of the road, can we use these same trucks to collect these mangoes, these soursop, the various types of mangoes and bring them into a factory and manufacture them into mango jelly and jams and juices. Can we take some of these lands that we sell into those investors? Like, I mean, it's good. We having 2 hotels in St. David's, but the land that was taken to give to the hotel, can we use that land and plant a mass field of over 300 trees of mangoes? You know, different mangoes, the Calavini, the Julie mangoes, and the different type of mangoes. I'm using mangoes primarily. We don't have to raise taxes. We just need to start building factories. And if we are going to become truly independent, and if we are going to be able to give everybody a job, that's where it starts. That's where it starts. You know, going back to agriculture, I don't know how we could forget about feeding ourselves and build hotels to feed foreigners that come and they spend $2, and the $2 doesn't even come to the country; it goes to the hotel. And the hotel then
most of the hotels and them are
foreignly owned.
foreign owned.
And these they bring their top managers, they outside accountant, while we train 300 and 400 young people in accounting team as you come to college that can't get a job.
Yeah, but the government benefit from it because of the VAT.
Let me just make this final point. Very, very final point. This is my final outgoing point. We have a lot of Crown lands in Grenada. A lot of Crown lands. Why can't we building homes for people? That's good. I see they give out a whole set of apartments in Caracou. That's good too, but those they come with their social crises as well. But it's good. People getting homes. That's what's important. But can we take some of these Crown lands and say, listen, look at acre day, build a house on that, rent to own. You know, you have 5 years. You pay me $30 a month. I'm just calling a figure off the top of my head. At the end of that, you own that piece of land. You understand what I'm saying? You give young people that. You say, listen, I give you a piece, a 1 acre. You build a house on a part of it, and you plant a little kitchen garden on another part. Or I give you a piece of land in the mountain. Go plant some yam and dasheen on that, and come and sell it. Let's empower the Market and National Importing Board to become the Market and National Importing Board.
Yeah, true. And not competing
with the farmers.
Farmers, yeah.
Give back GCNA to the farmers. Give back the Cocoa Association to the farmers. We have fish market in Guap. We have a fish market in town, grossly understaffed. The thing could be fixed, but we need a visionary government that can fix it. And if you're telling me after you've been there for almost 20-something years and we're still having this debate over and over and over and over, why the hell are we electing you? Sorry to use that word on your program, Junior, but why the hell are we electing you? Come on, we have young people every year. The Joseph's Convent, Presentation Brothers College, Anglican High School, the Green Boys Secondary School, 50, 60 graduates going up to the TMIG Community College. Coming up from the TMIG Community College to do what exactly? We don't even market in Grenada that the OECS is open. You don't need a work permit to work in St. Vincent, Dominica, Antigua. But guess what? These countries already have their own indigenous issues. We could fix the thing. You don't need to increase salary. What you need to do is to cut the salary of those $15,000 and $16,000 workers. Cap it at a certain point. And then we would know that your service to the country is not about the money, but for love of country. It could be fixed.
Yeah.
But we have gotten so accustomed to one thing. One man leading a country for 38 years. Where in the world has that happened? Cuba. And look at what type of government Cuba is. Junior done. But at the end of the day, empower our young people.
Yeah.
If you cannot make it in the classroom, you are marginalized. And for those of you think that's a big word, you push on the side. Young women get pregnant in Form 3. What happens after that?
Yeah.
We can take them and develop the new life organization into a full-fledged school, training school, the program for adolescent mother, pump money into those things and train our young people. We don't need to bring Chinese to run a manufacturing plant. Bring them 10-year contract. But in that 10-year contract, put a bracket that says you have to train 5 young people to run that machine.
Right.
So when you up and go, these 5 young people come up and they train 5 more young people and you continue a cycle. We can get it right, but we need to start now. closing comment, Junior. I got a little passion in there, my friend.
Thank you so much, Samson. Listen, Samson, I kind of happy, and I think
Love
our
you guys.
viewers.
I'm committed to another program like this.
Absolutely. Thank you. We will. Definitely will. Thank you again, Samson, and on that late notice and still came through. Guys, we are committed to you, the viewers. You are the one who support us. Whether you know it or not, you're the one that finances us, right? You do so by your contribution. There are a lot of people who make contribution to the program. And because of your contribution, we're able to continue to bring program like this on a daily basis. You do that because you share the program and how the program is set up. How the program is set up, we are a monetized platform, right? So we're not clamoring for any kind of advertising support from government, or we don't have to sing no ballot to get paid from government or any big hierarchy. Nobody, we ain't singing for nobody. So rest assured, we are going to tell you the truth, and we're going to give you the facts, whether you like it or not, and we ain't scared of any of the big head politicians or people in power. That's not who fund us, all right? And we're going to continue to do that, and we appreciate you. So I just want to say thank you, and we need to have this communication, guys. If you guys want to see more of something, if we are lapsing in certain aspects, that's why we're here. We want to have this conversation. Is a bilateral kind of conversation. You talk to us, we talk to you, and we make it happen. So we appreciate you guys so much, and appreciate the conversation. Yes. Guys, we got some sponsors. Let me run some ads and I'll come right back with total closing remarks. Check this out.
It's hard to imagine this is how 2020 started. But across the world, dozens were falling ill with a mysterious virus that would ultimately change life as we know it. Chinese health authorities are still working to identify the
COVID-19 pandemic is now casting doubt over the 2021
As soon as it gets open, I can. 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 I'm tired, see home and need out.
Why you talking the job must pay? All you understand, job must play.
Watch how the party turn up tonight. We going out and party, the people better, we causing trouble. Just watch how we causing trouble.
You don't carry the fire that my ancestors have given to me. You merely adopted the job. I was born in it. This is job, religion, job, religion. This is job, religion, job, religion. This is job, religion, job, religion. This is job, religion, job, religion.
Chicks Export Limited, Toronto, Canada. Shipping barrels and other cargo to Grenada in 3 weeks, including custom clearing and home delivery to anywhere in Grenada. They source, purchase, and ship new and used anything. Call or WhatsApp Eric, aka Greens, on 416-569-9755. That's 416-569-9755. Check us out on Facebook at Green Chicks Export or email us at greenchicksexport@gmail.com.
And of course, we invite you guys to check out and support our sponsors. Green Chicks just came on board. And, you know, as we say with anybody who decide to put their money where their mouth is and advertise with us, place their ad, we want you guys, I want you guys to support them. Also, a Laura Mass Band for Spice Mass 2022.
Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-3823.
And also, guys, let me tell you, if you have a business that you want to advertise, promote, market on this platform, this is how you do it. From Right Along Live, keeping you updated with everything happening in your world, from breaking news, election coverage, and a whole lot more. Now, do you have a business that you would like to market or advertise right here on our platform? Then give us a call at 718-701-5720 or inbox us right here on Right Along Live. Take your business to the next level. I'm Junior George from Right Along Live, keeping you updated. All right, that's my time, guys. Catch you guys again tomorrow, right here on Ride. Good night. Right Along Live is also sponsored by Buy Brand Caribbean. Buy Brand Caribbean official launch June 1st. Buy Brand Caribbean at cariborganics.com. Well, it's on Right Along, so it's happening here.
Came over here. What does it mean? You know, I grew up in what I guess you call a typical family.
We break all the stories, and that's just a fact. And that's why everyone has a story to tell.
Right Along Live, I mean, yeah, it's the real deal.